women. Can everybody just say, on the count of 3, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then say it. Just say women, okay? 1, 2. Early adopters over there. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Women. There's a certain heat. I love this analogy you gave of the egg and the heat lamp that brings the chick out. There's a very particular kind of heat that women emit. It's an evocative heat. So like I have this image of everybody going back to work. What day is it today? Wednesday. Okay, so it's tomorrow, Thursday. For those of you who are working like with team, going back and stopping, in your workday in the hallways, and just feel and this even applies to Amazon and Microsoft. Just feel the heat. There's something. Our heat evokes. It's a light that you want to be born into. The heat from women brings out goodness. It brings out truth. Okay. Deep breath. Oh, deep breath. And out. You can close your eyes if you want to. So I told Chantal I was going to talk about my mistakes and my failures, but I decided that's a drag. So we're going to change it up a bit, and we're going to have a conversation, and I can talk about my favorite failures. So just close your eyes for a second. I have some questions for you. So how do you feel when you're dancing? How do you feel when you're reading a really great book? How do you feel when you tell someone that you love them? How do you feel when you laugh spontaneously? How do you feel when you're being cared for at the spa? When you have those moments with your mother, with a lover? How do you feel when, your whole body is a yes? Yeah. How do you feel when you've had one of those great nights with friends, particularly your girlfriends, and you leave and you're more of yourself, and you have ideas, and sometimes we go out and we text them before we even get home and say, I fucking love you. I'd be fucking crazy without you. Yeah, okay. How do you feel when you're in your zone, whatever your zone is, and you're speaking, you're showing up, right? Okay. You can open your eyes now. That's you emerging, right? So your true self, your essential self, your soul, your higher self, your original self, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, it is not something that's out there. You know this, but I just want to I want this to land tonight, right? It is something that emerges. Yeah. These guys, see, the masculine wants into the feminine. Always looking to penetrate, yeah. And we have room for that. We have so much room for that. So the real you, this is what you're going to spend half of your life. You're probably going to spend 2/3 of your life doing this. You're going to look for yourself in a workshop. You're going to look for yourself in 7 Habits. I love Stephen Covey. Okay? You're going to look for yourself in another person, in a partner. You're going to look for yourself in your lineage, in your family tree, in your history. You're not your genes, by the way. Your future is not, has nothing to do with your genetic disposition. Okay? And you're going to hope that all that looking out there feels like home. And sometimes it will feel like home. You're going to hear just the right thing at a talk, at a networking event, in a book. Someone, a love is going to gaze at you in just the right way that you are unlocked, right? But it's not because it's out there. It's because it's about resonance. The stuff that you're finding is this bing, it's vibrating with the truth of who you are. So the diamond I want to give is that when you feel that I've found it, to recall, to remember in that time that you haven't found it there, you found it here. This is vibrating with my truth. This is who I am. Let's talk about that now. So, the real juice, the magic happens in conversation. So you can shout out words, concepts, we can ask questions, anything. Just use me. And I don't have any answers. This is just like, I'm just here to transmit. I'm just a heat lamp for 20 minutes. Given the heat. Yeah. Desire, yes.
I'm just wondering, when did you feel like, what was one of your big emergences when you sort of came out like as this Danielle of BC?
So I was born on May 25th, 1969. I've always been me, and you've always been you. We just forget about it. You always have access to your truth. You always have access to the divine feminine. You have access to your Shakti. You don't lose access to it. We just cover it up with stuff. So, this completely turns our relationship to self-help inside out, right? It's not outside. You haven't lost access. We are not problems to be fixed. It really is about emerging. But I would push this one step further out and say it's about a peeling off of layers. We adopted ideas from our parents about who we should be. We're adopting ideas about, everything from Kardashians to Rolling Stone magazine to everything. So my booty and her booty and all that. So it's a peeling off, right? So, mathematicians refer to some solutions as elegant solutions in math. Yeah. And it has to do, the elegant solution is the one that is most simple. And you get to that by removing the layers. So like the stories I love to hear from like emerging women are stories of quitting and walking away. It's those bursts, those emergent bursts, where it's all about the stop doing list. I write about this in the fire starter sessions. Everybody got to have a stop doing list. I'm going to stop undercharging. I'm going to stop overworking. I'm going to stop giving 110% to what I'm doing now when what I really want to be doing is over here. Right? I wrote about this recently where it's like, their dream is over here, but especially generous women, especially A-type overachieving women. Who isn't an A-type overachieving woman? I mean, it's an oxymoron, right? If you're a woman, you are overachieving, okay? But because we care about what people think, shadow side of that, light side of that, because we're loving, we're going to give 100% no matter what, we're going to use 60 hours a week, when our dream is over here going, hey, I'm waiting, right? And so the dream happens 3 years later, 4 years later, or it never happens because we don't want to disappoint people. We don't want to actually use our vacation time. We don't want to damage our reputation. We're just going to keep pleasing while our dream is atrophying. Desire. Well, it's everything. It's everything. And my whole thing right now about desire is about changing, inverting our relationship to ambition. So we come up with our to-do lists and our bucket lists and our daytimers and all of that. And it's all the stuff we want to do, have, and be that's out there. But you're not chasing that goal. It's not about the attainment. You're chasing the feeling. It's all about how you want to feel when you achieve the goal. So why don't you first get clear on how you want to feel, and then you vastly increase your odds of satisfaction when you get there because you're happy on your way to getting to it, right? So you can't, if the goal is inner peace, you cannot fight your way to inner peace. Right? If the goal is joy, you cannot endure and suck your way up to joy. It has to be joyful getting there. Because life's short, you want to be joyful today. And by the way, let me just put a little Post-it note over here. I think joy is our true nature. So I'm with the Buddhists on this. Well, the Buddhists are divided, so I'm with 50% of the Buddhists. That essence, your true self, your higher self, is joy. And so everything really is just a revealing, how do I get back to my truth, becomes, how do I get back to my joy? Wow, listen, joy is not something, sorry, I got a little motivational there for a minute. Listen! Joy is not something you go make. It's something that is already there. You create conditions, you find your heat lamp for it to emerge. Do you know what that means? You get to hang out with people that you like. You get to surround yourself with yes people. Yes. And I don't mean in positions of leadership where you're just people are going to be like, your butt looks great in that, when it doesn't. It's not about yes people who are just like, that's always a great idea, because you need people who are going to create, you need creative fiction, you need creative fiction? You need creative friction, you need creative tension, so you're not in creative fiction. But go where you're loved. Do you know what? This is why I pretty much only speak to women. So, I had speaking agents who wanted to get me gigs at certain corporations. And I'm going to have to convert them. Why would I want to convert anybody? Like, I'm a preacher, but I want to preach to the choir. Because this is so much more fun than people going, the woo and the what? The feelings. Yeah. What else? Discernment, okay. And what? Vulnerability, courage, and integrity. We can do this. Okay. Your body is the greatest tool you have for discernment. So there's a great myth, an urban myth, a business myth that I love. It could be true because it's an urban myth. So apparently there's a CEO at Mitsubishi who used to talk about business deals only over meals. And if he digested well, the deal went down. If he didn't digest well, the deal did not go down. Your body knows. Your body knows, your body knows. It took me 40 years to really be in my body. I was just, hanging out with my publisher a few days ago, my new publisher. Desire Map is coming out to all English-speaking countries in January 1st. Woo! And we were going over different strategies, and because it's Desire Map and I'm like the feeling check now, a strategy was put on the table, and somebody at the table said, "How do you feel?" And I said, "I feel sad." I bet you don't get to say that at Amazon and meetings. I feel sad about that. Those milestones are fucking depressing. But I could feel myself, as this potential strategy was being rolled out, my whole body, I just started to feel empty and listless, But this brings us to somebody earlier in the evening was talking about, and to me, offside, was talking about uncertainty. And I want to talk about uncertainty and how it relates to emerging. So, I sit in that moment of just feeling like empty body, not in a good way. I feel sad. I can't relate to that strategy. That's not something I can do. Very uncomfortable to say that because I don't have another strategy to solve that problem right then. The strategy, the solution comes after you admit when something sucks. So often we don't admit that something sucks because we're nervous that we don't know how we're going to solve this. We don't know how we're going. But I'll just keep this big burning truth to myself that's affecting all my chakras. Okay, so when you fully admit that it sucks, whether it's the deliverables, the milestones, whether it's your marriage, whether it's the logo that you just paid $800 for, whatever it is, then the solution will come to you. But you need to be in that valley of uncertainty, right? So in the valley of uncertainty, this is my advice about this. Seek uncertainty. Don't be comfortable with it, because that's usually a lie. It's very uncomfortable with it. But just love being uncomfortable, because eventually it is inevitable that clarity will come. You know, Nietzsche said, you must have chaos in your heart to give birth to stars. It's going to come someday. It may be a couple weeks, it may be a couple years. It's going to come. And when it comes, you're going to think, oh, I should have watched more TV when I was uncertain. I should have taken a holiday when I was confused. But we spin our wheels, So take a break. It's a valley. You know, I get this question a lot about passion, right? And how do I find my next passion? I've lost my passion. You're all going to lose your passion. Everybody's going to fail, right? Ebb and flow. You cannot be in drive passion mode all the time. So when you've lost it, just it's a break. Your reservoir is filling up again. You're getting a new angelic crew. They're changing shifts. All right. Your cells are replumping. Okay. Vulnerability. I'm not a huge fan of it, actually. That was a joke. I want to actually reframe vulnerability. And I'm a big fan of Brené's, and I love the work around this, and I'm glad everybody's having this, so many people are having this conversation. But what's one of the first things you think of when you hear the word vulnerable? Fun? I'm different. You're different. Okay, let's get real. Everybody else. Weak. Okay. Okay, I want to reframe it. It's about openness. Okay. It's about openness. When you are open, you are naturally, physiologically vulnerable. My friend Rebecca Walker says, openness is our greatest human resource. Open is truth-telling, right? But even to take that one step further, there's a little bit of a negative taste around truth-telling. I think when we think of truth-telling, we think about the dark truth, the difficult conversations. That's all part of being whole. We need courage. It's all part of emerging those, the tough truths, the breaking through. But what about the happy truths that we hold back? What about the suppression of joy? The joy bubbling underneath your surface? What about all those times when the truth is, I love you. I want this job. I'm so enthusiastic. You changed my life. This will change my life. I want this more than anything. This was the best thing I ever did. What about the truth of going back to the meeting to just say, that was great? What about the truth, you see a chick in the bank next to you, she looks awesome, and you want to tell her that she looks awesome, but you don't? Because you don't want everybody to hear you, you don't want to embarrass her. So I'll leave you with this. The happy truths, the light truths, the joyful truths, right? You sharing your joy it's not a narcissistic act, it's not a divisive thing. Sometimes you sharing your joyful truths will create what I would call a positive agitation in people. If envy comes up. Envy can be really a great thing if people, look it in the eye. So what are you happy about? I'm not into networking events at all. But just maybe tonight, in conversation, what's working? That's the best thing a therapist will ever ask you. All 7 of my therapists ask me. As what's working, right? So sharing the joy, the truth of your joy, it lifts all of us up, and it invites everybody to emerge. Thank you, Seattle.